Look, I get it. Selling on Amazon can be confusing as when you're a beginner, and it's completely normal for beginners to have lots of questions. I spent the last couple days scrolling my YouTube comments and saw the same questions and comments come up over and over again every single day. So today I want to answer all of them for you guys. This video is going to be the frequently asked questions page I wish I had when I was a new seller. Even though I made over $100,000 profit my first year, I had to figure out a ton of things on my own. So today I want to save you a ton of time, money, and mistakes. Let's get right into the questions. Number one, Alessandra asks, do you think the market is saturated? Do you think small people can still get in and make some money? Most people still don't know that over 60% of products sold on Amazon come from third-party sellers. That alone shows how much opportunity that is, because that's literally hundreds of billions in revenue a year that are coming from everyday people like you and I at home on our laptops, packaging up boxes and shipping them off to Amazon. A really important thing to note too about the arbitrage business model on Amazon, reselling name brand products like Nike, Adidas, and Lego, is it's not winner take all. With Amazon private label or Amazon wholesale that are a lot more expensive and complicated, you're really rewarded if you've been around for a while, built up a ton of reviews, and have great traffic to your listings. The cool part about arbitrage is you're selling on listings that already have a bunch of other sellers, and the sales just rotate to everyone that's priced competitively as the buy box goes around. There's listings that have 50 sellers on them that still have tons of room for profit, and the price history shows nice and stable. So in 2024, the market's far from saturated. E-commerce is only growing, and there's a ton of opportunity, and it's only going to get better. Question number two, Adil asks, what if Amazon asks for invoices? Amazon doesn't accept retailers' invoices. What is the solutions? So he's meaning in terms of getting ungated for products or beating IP complaints or inauthentic complaints. Coming from someone who's done well over 150,000 orders in my Amazon seller career, I've dealt with every complaint in the book, inauthentic, ungating, everything like that. The cool thing is post 2020, Amazon's really understood and shown their value of arbitrage sellers like us, getting product from retail stores and retail websites onto the platform, and they've made it very clear that they're totally cool with accepting retailer receipts and are even stating that in many cases these days. Pretty recently, I did an inauthentic complaint on a listing I had sold several hundred of, and all I did was I went to my order spreadsheet, I downloaded all my order confirmation emails from Dick's Sporting Goods for that product, put them into a combined PDF, submitted it off to Amazon. Similar to any ungating request, it's completely normal to get declined a couple times or an authentic complaint, and after a couple times, Amazon took that data and I kept it moving. The way we really know this works, even if you're a completely new seller, is you have to consider retailers like Walmart and Target and Vitacost that have their own private label brands that are reseller friendly on Amazon. Vitacost is the only source. We know for a fact that Vitacost receipts are going to work for that, so don't sleep on that in 2024. Don't let that be an excuse. Didn't screenshot his name, show him, but he says, thank you for the info, amazing video, I gained a lot from it. I wanted to ask though, say you found a profitable product, Nike shoes for example, how many units would you buy and send over to Amazon? I know in retail arbitrage, you would only send in a handful. How would it differ with online arbitrage? So that's the nice thing about arbitrage, guys, is you don't have to commit a ton of money or a ton of resources to one specific product. A lot of the time in private label or wholesale, you have to spend several $1,000s per product with minimum order quantities and just justifying getting the product over from China. The nice thing about arbitrage is it's way less risky and you can commit way less money to each product. There's even certain cases where if a listing is merchant fulfilled friendly, aka there's other sellers merchant fulfilling on that listing, you can literally test one of something. And that reduces risk like crazy and it helps you learn a lot quicker. So the nice thing is when you're an arbitrage seller and you're a beginner, you can test super light, just a couple of this, that, and then your sales data is going to tell you when to buy heavy on products. User IF8 says, hey, Flips or Miles, I watched your video and loved it. Appreciate you. I had a question if you could possibly make a video on it. I want to know how to calculate merchant fulfilled costs. Can you please tell me how to join your Discord server? We'll leave a link for that down below. It's completely free. Calculating FBM costs. So basically he's asking, when you look to merchant fulfill a product on Amazon, you don't just subtract the shipping costs from what you see on SellerAmp. You actually have to scroll down on SellerAmp and toggle it over to the FBM numbers. But then people don't know what to put in for the FBM cost specifically. So while the costs do update from time to time, if a listing is below £1, it's going to be between $4 and $6, maybe $7, depending on how close it is to £1. And when it's above £1, it's predominantly going to be between 8 and 12. You should offer free shipping for merch fulfill predominantly because you don't have to pay those FBA fees. But for next day, 2-day, and expedited orders, I would recommend changing your shipping templates to charge like $20 or $30 plus $1 per pound for those orders so you can get some extra profit for them. Also, it's a really good idea to do 0-day handling time. If you can ship your FBM orders quicker, that's going to help you get extra buy box share. So obviously FBM costs can vary a little bit, but that was a pretty good guide in terms of what it'll mostly be for most of your orders. Over time, you'll figure out the exact correlations based on where you live, because obviously if you live in a remote state, it's going to be a little bit more expensive than if you live in a very coastal area, for example. Kayla says, is this the app something you've created? I'm completely new to this, so I'm learning the basics. Also, the ROI in the app, considering all the fees that can be associated with selling on Amazon this way. So yeah, the cool thing is when you take a look at a product within the SellerAmp profit calculator, it's going to factor in all the shipping, fees, the product cost when you add that in, and the sales tax right there. So you don't need to do any mental math. A big mistake a lot of beginners make is even though they have their sales tax in their SellerAmp settings, they also add it into the buy cost on SellerAmp, and then they end up paying sales tax twice. So when you put it in twice, you end up missing out on a lot of products, because why would it make sense to put it in on the settings and do it in mental math? That would kind of defeat the whole purpose of there being a setting in SellerAmp. So yep, SellerAmp takes into account, and I am a part owner of SellerAmp with some other friends as well. All right, this is a super important one, especially with back to school and Q4 on the horizon. Cheeky asks, how would I go about the sale, or we're completely gonna disregard my guy's name right here, but he did ask a pretty good question. How would I go about using the sales tax exemption / reseller's permit for retail arbitrage? So if you're unsure what a sales tax permit or a reseller's permit is, basically it's a way to avoid sales tax. You can just look up how to get sales tax exempt in your state on Google. You'll find a good tutorial from someone who's licensed to talk about it, like CPAs or whatever. On that, sales tax permits are very helpful for retail arbitrage. You can bring the documentation with you and supply it at checkout. Most places are going to let you get tax exempt. That's really helpful. You just have to make sure you take it off your SellerAmp cost right there. Not many online arbitrage places take it. Walmart is a good example of one that does. Then it is going to be required for wholesale as well. So reseller certificates are awesome. You should definitely get one if you haven't already. Crystal says, do I need Keepa if I already have SellerAmp? Thanks in advance. So I would recommend having both. SellerAmp is going to cover a lot of the basics. So if you're on a mega budget, maybe you just only use SellerAmp. However, there are certain features of Keepa I really like, specifically Keepa Product Finder, as well as the product details pages, and just having the larger chart to actually expand out and look through. I would recommend having Keepa as well. Luckily, unlike what most beginners think, you don't need a bunch of expensive and complicated software. All you need is SellerAmp and Keepa, each about $20 a month, and you can try SellerAmp completely free on SellerAmp.com. Frankfurt Am says, how to start arbitrage. I got you, Frankfurt. Here's a full, very quick walkthrough on how to actually get started selling on Amazon. Number one, you need an Amazon seller account. That's going to cost you $40 a month. I believe you're only charged when you start selling. You're also going to need some shipping labels. Conveniently, you can get a lot of these completely free on the UPS website for no money. You also need some FNSKU labels right there. You can get these on Amazon. You can get basic poly bags and poly barrels on Amazon. I like 9x12 and 12x15. For online arbitrage, when you're getting in orders, you can actually reuse those boxes, sending them off to Amazon. For YouTube, you're already in the right place to learn completely free. Definitely check out my free course as well. And then you're going to need a couple free cashback and Chrome extensions like Rakuten, Top Cashback, and Capital One Shopping. It's really important to note though, like the shipping process is really easy, especially if you use Boxum, which is our brand new FBA shipment software. And you can't overthink the basics. So just watch a bunch of YouTube videos and jump right in and get started. The only way you're going to make money is if you start doing product research. And you should totally do online and retail arbitrage when you get started too. So obviously do storefront stocking for OA as well, but also get out in your local discount stores, outlets, Ross, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, grocery outlet, Ollie's, Nike, Adidas outlet, etc. and scan some product for retail arbitrage as well. Let's say if you buy 10 pairs of shoes, what sizes do you usually buy? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's very reasonable to not really be sure of that when you're a new seller. The nice thing is each size is going to have its own Keepa chart. So you take a look at the Keepa chart for that specific size. That's going to gauge performance of it as well. You can use the variations tab on Keepa and just a lot of common sense around size and color. Black and white, gray, neutral colors are going to sell significantly better than like pink and green, for example. LOL, where's the man? Just because they're on Amazon doesn't mean they sell in huge quantities. The seller just lists tons of products. The way they stay in business offering choice. If you buy loads of them just because they are cheap and think you can make profits easily, you are delusional. Supply and demand always matter. So clearly didn't actually watch the video where I make it very clear you want to start nice, small, and low risk and only buy products that have proven sales history on Amazon. That's the nice thing about the arbitrage model is you don't need to commit heavily to one place. You don't need to buy stuff from China. You don't need to do any marketing or ads. You can literally buy one of something and test it out to learn. And then eventually, once you get good, you can buy dozens and even hundreds of different SKUs that can even sell hundreds in one day. Like my record for one product, I think is like 400 units in one day. Some people just look for a lot of reasons to not make money. So I'd highly recommend not having the attitude like this guy, and it's going to be very, very difficult for you to make money online if you don't trust and believe yourself, like unfortunately this guy looks to not. All right, user TT4PN says, does Adidas website allow you to buy big enough quantity though? That's a very reasonable thing, and that's what a lot of wholesale Amazon gurus always talk about, is you can't get enough product with online arbitrage. The nice thing is I sold over $1 million in my first year doing OA, and a couple websites literally supplied multiple 6 figures worth of products. Some websites, including like Target, for example, and Hibbett, for example, do order cancel heavy and are anti-reseller. Most websites, for the most part, are pretty reasonable. If you do ever get order cancels on a certain website, a lot of beginners automatically give up on that website. It's absolutely not what you should do. Instead, you should call them and figure out if they're canceling your orders because they're anti-reseller or because they're just avoiding fraud purchases on their platform. And then there's a bunch of creative ways to get around order cancels as well. Maybe I'm too new to FBA, but I still don't understand what are the benefits of the software. I mean, if we don't have or use the software, what's the downside or difference? The effort on printing labels and shipping to Amazon or saving time, whatever. Yeah, so if you're unfamiliar with how Boxum works, definitely check out my full tutorial. But basically a couple benefits of Boxum that are going to save you a ton of time and money. It's significantly cheaper than the competitors. It's also just way easier to send products to Amazon through it compared to other expensive, clunky, and outdated softwares or Amazon Seller Central, which tends to be a nightmare. Just a couple quick things about Boxum. You can use 2D barcodes, which tend to make your products check-in quicker. It also makes the prep process quicker. You can print the FBA box labels as you actually do the F and SKU labels, which were a little bit too far for me to grab, but we're going to keep it in anyway. You can use the bulk assign, which makes life a lot easier as well. And you can print out the UPS labels natively within the software too, which other softwares make it pretty difficult to do. So yeah, you can also try Boxum completely free just at boxum.com, boxem.com. We almost had to fly to the Netherlands to get the usernames for socials too, so make sure you follow on Twitter and Instagram at Boxum. And that's a lot of the frequently asked questions I get from you guys too. If you guys have other questions, definitely let me know down below as well. And back to school in Q4 are right around the corner. And if you're looking for personalized one-on-one help, you want to work directly with me to start or grow your Amazon business, I'm going to leave a link down below in the description for my coaching program. If you want to be around other sellers that are crushing the game, you want all my coupons, tips, tricks, and strategies, you want direct one-on-one access to me and a live sourcing call we'll do together on Zoom. And if you like this video, make sure to subscribe. Let me know any questions below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.